Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. And man, it's getting spooky out here, y'all. And as the title says, Iran versus US, what are they not telling us? And what we have to understand is this. You notice the mainstream media is not talking about the potential war that's going on. They spend a lot of time talking down on what Trump is doing and this and that. But when it comes to this situation, they quiet. And the reason why they're quiet is because this is serious. It's no time for rhetoric. They're keeping us distracted by all of these different situations, these big U trials and all this other stuff. The seriousness of this situation dates back to Trump's first presidency. And it's said that Iran was behind some of the attacks on Donald Trump's life. When they opened up the borders and just allowed anybody in to the country, it wasn't just about no Venezuelans or Mexicans. There were a lot of people that were from the Middle East and China and different parts of the world that could have came over here unvetted, potential terrorists. With that being said, the last administration put us in grave danger. So it could have been a lot of people from Iran that are in our country that we don't know where they are or what they own. If they waiting for the green light to do anything inside our country. Over there in the Red Sea, there are violent pirate ships named the Houthis, and they have been targeting American ships in the Red Sea, shooting them, bombing them. And Trump said, hey, if y'all send one more missile, one more bomb, I'm going to set up shop and retaliate. And the U.S. actually did detonate bombs to the Houthis in the Red Sea. Trump told them also, you cannot have any nuclear weapons. If you have nuclear weapons, you're going to have to suffer dire consequences. The seriousness of Iran having nuclear weapons is that these people that are in Iran don't care about unaliving themselves to target the United States. Our ally Israel and Iran are preparing to do further strikes on Iran. Russia is an ally to Iran. They already mad that the United States has been funding Ukraine in the war against them. People, this is the makings of World War III if this does not go right. The deal that Trump offered Iran was to no longer pursue nuclear weapons or suffer the consequences, i.e., we're going to launch attacks. The United States military is coming in closer to set up shop to prepare to attack Iran if they do not adhere to that deal. Mainstream media is not talking about this. They're keeping us distracted with insignificant things, but this is dead serious. So we have the United States issuing a warning, and Iran said, hey, listen, go ahead. We're going to continue to pursue to have nuclear weapons. If you bomb us, we're going to attack you like you've never been attacked before. So they're not backing down to the United States. People, like I said, when the Biden-Harris administration opened up these borders, it's no telling who's over here. So when they say attack the United States like never seen before, one can only suggest that they're talking about attacking us from within the country, allegedly. The Biden-Harris administration really set us up, in my opinion, for this point that we at now. And like I said, the mainstream media being quiet about it because they know the severity of this situation. And Israel and United States versus Iran, possibly Russia. Putin sent a warning to President Trump. Hey, we jumping in if y'all bomb Iran. That's our ally. So the Houthis are still doing what they do in the Red Sea. The United States is moving in closer to launch an attack. It's time to start stocking up food, ammo. We don't know what's going to take place. And I want to present a video to y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Over a year without getting its own hands dirty. Now, the US has had enough. Iran is about to be hit hard as a massive US B-2 bomber deployment prepares to escalate the conflict in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump told Iran that this was coming. Still, Iran wouldn't stop supporting the Houthis, meaning it now faces one of the most terrifying weapons in the United States Air Force. Trump's warning to Iran came on the back of the first 4 days of US airstrikes conducted against the Houthi militant group in Yemen. That group, which has ties to Iran, believed to extend to training and weapons supply, reignited its attacks against container ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea on March 12. America's response has been to launch daily airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen, which Trump says are already proving effective. Tremendous damage has been inflicted upon the Houthi barbarians, and watch how it will get progressively worse, Trump posted to his social media site on March 19. It's not even a fair fight, and it never will be. They will be completely annihilated. While these comments may seem like bragging on the part of the US president, they actually contain a veiled message to Iran. Trump is telling Iran that one of its most important proxies doesn't stand a chance against the US. And he's not just saying it, the US Navy and Air Force are demonstrating that fact. The daily airstrikes in Yemen have killed at least 53 people and injured over 100 more, with the US claiming that it's managed to take out several members of the Houthi leadership already. And if there was any doubt about Trump's true target with these strikes, he cleared all of that up on March 19. In a separate Truth Social post, the US president said, Iran must stop the sending of these supplies immediately. Let the Houthis fight it out themselves. Either way, they lose, but this way they lose quickly. And in a March 17 post, Trump then delivered his most direct warning yet. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran, and Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. Did the US just declare war on Iran? Not quite. But Trump has sent a message that the US isn't going to stand by and watch as Iran funds and supports the Houthis in the militant group's Red Sea campaign. And again, these aren't empty words from Trump. He's following through on his promises of more strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. And perhaps more importantly, he's following through on the threats he's making against Iran. How? As we speak, the US is transporting B-2 stealth bombers to a military facility that is within range of Iran. On March 26, the War Zone, or TWZ, posted a report claiming that a significant force of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers looks to be currently making its way to the Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia. It cites satellite imagery from the previous 48 hours that seems to demonstrate that the US is amassing what could become a powerful fighting force on the UK-owned island. Diego Garcia is an interesting place. The BBC reports that it's a remote island nestled in the Indian Ocean.
Why don't you own an apartment building? I'm serious right now. Let me show you a path that could change.
And to the outside observer, it might look like paradise on Earth. Lush vegetation sprouts from its fertile ground. Stunning and practically untouched white sand beaches taper off into crystal clear ocean waters. And as a holiday destination, it has the potential to become one of the most desirable getaways in the entire world. But the island isn't used for such leisurely purposes. Instead, it's the home of a US Navy support facility that gives the US eyes and ears in the Indian Ocean. The island is leased to the US by the UK, with the most recent lease renewal allowing the US to essentially use this tiny slice of paradise for whatever purposes it deems fit until 2036. Prior to March 2025, the island was home to several branch units of the United States military. These include a specific Diego Garcia detachment of the US Navy, along with the 36th Wing of the 11th Air Force of the US Pacific Air Forces. It even has a Space Operations Contingent, with the 20th Space Control Squadron of Space Operations Command calling the island its home, along with the 21st Space Operations Squadron of Space Delta 6. Add detachments from the US Air Force's 515th Air Mobility Operations Wing to that list, as well as several supporting groups, and you get a remote island that's been transformed into one of the US's key Asian military bases. Those branch groups are still there. They're just being joined now by some of America's most powerful bombers. The US itself provides scant few details about what goes on at the base. According to the military installation's website, entry to Diego Garcia is restricted, requiring area clearance by US Navy support facility Diego Garcia. Only unaccompanied military and Department of Defense civilian personnel or authorized contractors may be assigned to the island. In other words, nobody gets on or off Diego Garcia without express permission from the US military. So much for that vacation. US military personnel typically embark on a one-year tour if they're assigned to the island, with extensions only available to officers and enlisted personnel in special circumstances. Civilians allowed onto the island often stay longer, with military installations noting that some have been on the island facility for over 15 years. But all of this is standard operating procedure for the Diego Garcia military base. What we're seeing now is much different. TWC says that a combination of radio chatter and satellite imagery confirms that the US is sending B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia. The first signs came on March 25, with satellite imagery demonstrating that at least 3 C-17 cargo planes had made their way to the island alongside 10 aerial refueling tankers. Both are important to any future B-2 bombing runs, given that the island is about 1,000 miles away from the next nearest landmass. The refueling tankers will play key roles in keeping America's B-2s airborne for any strike missions conducted against Iran. As for the cargo planes, they're doing exactly what the name suggests, shipping vital cargo to Diego Garcia to ensure the B-2s have everything they need for their bombing runs. Radio chatter has also revealed what the US is planning. TWZ says that 2 B-2 bomber crews operating under the call signs Pitch 11 and Pitch 14 were heard communicating with Australian Air Traffic Control in March. That radio conversation, which is publicly available, also confirmed the presence of a third B-2, though that aircraft's crew wasn't involved in the conversation. The trio of US bombers then stopped off in Australia, where they refueled before continuing their journey to Diego Garcia. This aspect of the TWZ report is interesting. It shows that the US isn't attempting to keep the B-2's movements a secret, reinforcing the idea that it's trying to project force against Iran.
Okay, so just to give you a gist of what's going on over there, as you can see, the United States is setting up shop to launch an attack on Iran. Like I said, Russia already weighed in. Putin said that if we do, then it's going to be consequences. This is serious, y'all. But these people cannot have nuclear weapons. If they have a nuclear weapon, then they're definitely going to try to attack the United States. And like I said, the level of danger that those open borders caused has put us in a volatile place. So the president of the United States, Donald Trump, is considering what Iran is saying to avoid a nuclear war. I think they already got nukes. Do you remember when we had all those drones flying in the air and we didn't know what they were? Do you remember they said it was a freight train that got derailed and they stolen nukes were missing? And they said that those drones that were flying around were trying to find. They said there was actually the military trying to find the missing nukes. Could it be that those nukes were sent here for the people that came into our country during the fact that we had open borders, and they setting up shop just waiting on the instructions to launch an attack here in the United States? I mean, this is things that we have to consider, knowing the negligence of the Biden-Harris administration's open borders. See, it's bigger than Trinidad, Aragua, and some illegal immigrants from Venezuela. They allow a lot of different people from all over the world to come in here that hates America. So when we got ICE agents in sanctuary cities that's not cooperating with ICE, they're trying to find potential terrorists. These sanctuary cities are un-American. To even allow illegal potential terrorists to be roaming around our country.
The munitions. If the US were to go down the nuclear route in a war with Iran, it could load the bombers with 16 of its B-61-7, B-61-12, or B-83 nukes, or up to 8 of its B-61-11 nuclear bombs.
Avoid these 5 knee pain mistakes. Most people get them wrong. If you're struggling with knee pain, you
The latter is a ground-penetrating and bunker-busting nuke with a yield of 400 kilotons, more than enough to devastate most Iranian cities. The US Air Force website also says that the B-2 has a $1.157 billion unit cost, meaning the US has just transferred over $5 billion of hardware to Diego Garcia, even before accounting for cargo transports, tankers, and other supporting equipment. Frankly, the B-2 is among the most terrifying aircraft the US has, and if Iran sees it flying over its skies, it could be a signal that explosive devastation is incoming. Which brings us to another question. How does the US plan to use its amassed B-2s? We don't have any direct answers from the US military, which has already said that it won't provide any details about specific operations. We can also practically rule out the possibility of the US nuking Iran with its B-2s, as that would only happen if Iran launched a nuclear weapon at the US, which is
only if they launch a nuclear bomb at the United States. So that's in the air, you know. In conclusion, it's time to definitely consider stocking up on everything from canned goods to water to ammunition. Seriously, it's no telling who's over here. I'm praying for not only this country, but every country, everybody involved in this potential war. Hopefully they can come to some type of resolution, but Iran is saying that they're not trying to stop their pursuit and getting nuclear weapons. President Trump said, if you continue, we're going to move forward with our military actions against Iran. And the rhetoric has been very heightened. But once again, notice the mainstream media is not saying anything about this. They're not trying to target Trump with none of this. Nobody's talking about it because they know the severity of the situation. And I thought that this would be very vital for people to be aware of what's going on. Share the video. Like, share, and subscribe. We are here to keep you informed. It's your boy, Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll keep you updated. We'll speak to you soon. Peace and blessings.